Hey, everybody. Welcome into The Sportscaster and Her Son, where sports bridges the gap between the generations. I'm your co-host, 12-time Emmy Award-winning sportscaster Peggy Kaczynski from ESPN Radio 1000 in Chicago. I'm the mom, I'm the sportscaster, and I'm the baby boomer.
And I am Jason Conander. I'm your other co-host. I'm a junior at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm super involved in TSTV. I'm a reporter, host, and the men's basketball insider / producer, whatever you want to call it, at TSTV. Love being involved with this podcast as well. We have a super, super exciting episode with a pretty fun guest today. Ready to get into it, Mom.
Yeah, thanks everyone who's followed us on YouTube, also on our website, thesportscasterandherson.com. Please continue to download and follow and tell a friend as well. We are on the ESPN Chicago app, which is available on Apple Podcasts. That is our new home. Don't forget, you can also get some of our fan merch just in time to stock some of those stuffings for the holidays. Anything from, our Bears stuff, our quarterback stuff, even just the things that we kind of say to each other. All of it is available, whether it's a mug, a hoodie, a laptop sticker, lots of stuff available from TeePublic. And you can see that address scrolling on the bottom of the screen or on the website, thesportscasterandherson.com.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you can check out some of our past episodes. Like we just had Bobby Douglas on talking about Justin Fields. We've done a lot of Bears broadcasts so far this year, but today we are going to switch it a little bit to a little bit hot stove baseball. And the White Sox have a new manager. They started out with a list of 30. They ended up going back to one of the first
30,
guys.
that's incredible to me. I find that so hard to believe.
I
find that so hard to believe.
So we want to try to figure out who is Pedro Grifol, right, Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. And what we know so far is that he has been on the Kansas City Royals staff for almost a decade now. He was on the staff in 2014 when they lost the World Series to the San Francisco Giants. He was also on the staff in 2015 when they won the World Series against the New York Mets. Since then, he has been the Kansas City Royals bench coach. He started serving in that role in 2020. So he has 3 years of experience on the Royals bench in the dugout. He will become the manager for the White Sox. Super exciting. No Major League Baseball playing experience for Pedro, but he was a starting catcher on I believe it was 1988 Florida State baseball team who won the national championship. So this is a guy who has championship pedigree, both as a player and as a coach. He's young, he's analytics based, and he's a big personality guy, which all of the above will really excite White Sox fans because it seems like all of those things were things that were missing and lacking from the White Sox this past year or two.
All right, Jason, let's find out more about who this new White Sox skipper is by bringing in a Chicago guy. He plays for the Royals, Mike Massey from Brother Rice, U of I, a 4th-round draft pick of the Royals. We are thrilled to have him on the Sportscaster and Her Son. Hi, Mike. How are you?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So let's first get into congratulations on making your big league debut. Tell us about it. It was kind of under those strange circumstances with the guys who were put on the non-vaccinated list and they were playing in Toronto and you get called up, but wow, you really made the most of your opportunity.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience, and it was a bit of a different way to get called up. I know we were in AAA, and about 2 weeks before it happened, our manager got on the bus before we went on a road trip, and he said, "Hey, make sure you guys have your passports. Big league team is going to Toronto in 2 weeks, and some of the guys aren't vaccinated." So I didn't realize that it would be 10, and so lucky for some of us in AAA that we were vaccinated, and it just worked out that the spot that I play was open, and yeah, it was cool. It was kind of a last minute thing, but was able to have my family get up there and some close friends. So it was a really cool experience.
It feels like your road to the bigs doesn't seem like it's been that long. I mean, you barely took any of those bus trips in the minors.
Yeah, no, it is short, I think, in comparison to what a lot of other guys have done, and it certainly didn't feel that way when we were on a 15-hour bus ride from Rock, Arkansas here. But it's just been lucky. I've been blessed and been able to stay healthy the last couple of years, which has been an issue for me at times in my career. And I've had some really good good teammates around me, good coaches around me, that that have really helped me develop. So yeah, just been blessed to be put in that spot.
As a Chicago guy, did you grow up a Cubs fan or a White Sox fan? And what was it like being called up to the major leagues and then you're playing in your hometown of Chicago just a month later?
I grew up a White Sox fan. I was
Wow.
A really big fan of that, especially that 2005 a White Sox team that won the World Series. I was a really big Ozzie fan. I love Przinsky. My favorite player was Scott Pasednik. So I always, if you see me playing, I always have my socks up and my eye black on for Scotty Pod. So, but no, that was a pretty emotional moment for me to be able to come back, and especially being pretty early, since I played in Toronto, got called back down, and then my first game back up was actually against the White Sox in Chicago. So, for me, it was just really cool to see all the people there that helped me get on that field and helped me earn the name on the back of my jersey, and to look up into the stands and see my dad, my mom, my brother, sister, high school coaches, travel coaches, and just all the people that supported me. So was a really cool moment.
So before we get into the White Sox coaching hire, the Kansas City Royals made their own coaching hire. Matt, if I can pronounce his last name correctly, Matt Quanerano from the Tampa Bay Rays, big analytics guy. What are your thoughts on the hire? Looking forward to, I mean, with all these young players in Major League Baseball, the league is moving in a very analytical direction. So it's a hire that caters very well to the young players. What are your thoughts on the hire?
Yeah, I mean, my best answer is I guess we'll find out in spring training and throughout the year. But no, he seems like a really good guy, and I've only had like a 10-minute phone conversation with him, but I've heard a lot of good things about him from a lot of people in the baseball world. And like you said, a lot of us young guys are really used to that data, and that's kind of how we came up through the minor leagues is utilizing the information that they give us. And I'm just excited to kind of learn and see if we could pick up on some new things. He comes from a great organization in Tampa Bay, and obviously they've had a tremendous success over the last decade. And they're a smaller market like Kansas City is, so it'll be really cool to kind of be able to pick his brain and see if we can take that information and really utilize it. Maybe in some ways that we weren't before.
Can you tell us a little bit about Pedro Grifol? A lot of times, as the bench coaches, like they're the guys that you guys really get to know. They're the ones that are really hands-on with the players, especially the young guys. Tell me about him, your impressions of him, and anything that he did for you and any of the other young players.
Yeah, no, I've gotten this. I'm sure you can. I've gotten this question about a million times. Being from the Chicago area and growing up a Sox fan, and all my friends are always asking me about him. And the one thing I could say is he's an unbelievable guy. He really is. He cares about players, not only on the field but off the field. He's a phenomenal communicator. He seems to always be on the same page with guys, and he's been a part of a lot of winning teams. I know he was on staff, during 2014 and 2015 when the Royals kind of had their World Series runs, and he's been around a lot of really good players, a lot of really good managers, and just a really savvy baseball guy, which, again, I know, it's not maybe the most popular hire, I guess, as far as like a big name goes. But, my thing on the manager in professional baseball is that the manager is a therapist, and basically the manager's job is to get the best out of the 26 guys in the clubhouse each day. And it's less to me about baseball moves, and it's less to me about fixing swings or all that stuff. It's more about, can you get guys to show up and have energy and want to go take the field that day? And can you do that for the length of a season? And that's something to me that I think Pedro has excelled at, and I think he'll continue to excel at with the White Sox.
Is there anything in particular with you that Pedro did or said to you, or, like you said, he is a great communicator. I don't know what that means anymore, because Jason's going to kill me for saying this, but my kids who are all your age, this is how they communicate. Everything is just, on the phone, texting. So what does it mean? And is there anything personally with you in your interactions with him?
Yeah, I'll give you two examples. The first example comes from, I had a tougher game when I got called up. I didn't play very well. It was probably my 10th or 11th game in the big leagues, and a lot of times what ends up happening when you don't play well is people just kind of stay away from you. And then you kind of start thinking all these things, right? You're like, oh man, coach, I walked past him in the hallway. He didn't say anything. And he must think I stink, or maybe he doesn't like me. And you start going, you get all these crazy thoughts going through your head. And, the one thing that I noticed about Pedro was he was very upfront, would come up to you and be like, hey man, like tough day, but you know what? Like this is the best place to learn. Like you're in the big leagues and you just got to keep at it. And, just very nice, very comforting as a young player to have a coach come up to you and kind of pat you on the back and not say like, he communicated with me very, very well, where I think sometimes in professional baseball, guys tend, like I said, they just walk past each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's just, it's like I don't know, men do it all the time. They don't talk with each other, and they hold their feelings in, and Pedro was very good with that. And then the other thing I'll say is when Pedro got the job in Chicago, I texted him in the midst of him getting the job, right? So he just got a job in a major market. He's swamped with media, PR, meeting the players that he's going to go coach from Chicago. And I shot him a text just saying, hey, congratulations. Like, super happy for you. Enjoy playing for you. And within 10 minutes, I had a text back on my phone. And it was not just a like, hey, thank you. It was a paragraph, a very meaningful paragraph about like, hey, I think you're a great player and all this good stuff. And it was a small thing. It really was. But it just showed, it really reemphasized. I'm like, man, I can really see why this guy got this job, because he just really cares about players. He goes out of his way to make sure that guys are feeling good and they're wanted. So I think he's a slam dunk hire for the White Sox.
I think the White Sox fans, I mean, as somebody who's grown up a White Sox fan, that gets me very excited to hear that from you, from somebody who played under Pedro. Now, another coach who you played under that'll be going to the White Sox is Mike Tosar, who's going to be the new hitting coach. In your experience with the Royals, can you tell us anything about his approach? Is he analytics driven, or because in Chicago, a big thing this year was how critical people were of the offense and of sort of the ground balls, base hits approach. So what can White Sox fans expect out of Mike Tosar as a hitting coach?
Man, Tos is the man. He is one of a kind. He really is. And I know him and Pedro go way back. I think they went to high school together, maybe. So they're certainly very close. And Tos is just always willing to work. He's a big studier of the game. Constantly picking up new things. I would say as far as the analytics go, Tos is more of a feel guy. I think like Tos was very good about. I remember I was struggling to backspin the ball to right field, my pull side, and I went to Tos and I was asking him for a drill, and he's like, visualize it. To start visualizing hitting the ball to right field, the backspin, and I'm like, dude, you're crazy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's got to be a drill I can do, right? Something physical, and eventually. I kind of picked up on what he was saying, and I started by visualizing it. I started to get that feel of what it feels like, and I think that describes Tos in the sense of he can go a bunch of different ways. He really can. He can work with guys who are super analytical, and he could take that side. He can work with guys like me who are more feel and learn better that way. He can watch video with guys and break it down that way, and I don't think a lot of people know, but before Soler had his 50-plus homer season in Kansas City, he worked a lot with Tosar in the offseason that year. And then, obviously that very next year, Salvi goes out and hits 50-something homers and breaks the record for American League catchers. And so, Tosar, I think, was very closely linked to both of those seasons. And, I think, again, especially with the amount of, Latin players that the White Sox have, and Tos relates really, really well to those guys, especially. And so I think, that's another slam dunk hire for the White Sox.
Wow. So between Grifol and Tosar, the veterans on this White Sox team really did not live up to their potential last year. I think everyone around baseball was very surprised at the White Sox falling below that potential. So what I'm hearing you say is these two guys are going to very much work in tandem. And not only can they work with the young guys, but it sounds like they're going to be able to work with some of the veterans as well and get their respect.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you just look at, both of these guys have been around Salvador Perez for for an extremely long time. And so, you know, I think there's a lot of guys like Salvi in that White Sox locker room. You know, guys that have been around for a long time and have some experience. And like you said, there's some young guys over there too who, obviously I have that experience with Tos and with Pedro, and they were nothing but great. So very versatile. Again, I couldn't be more excited for those guys. And you know, I really, it stinks for us that we're not going to get to keep them and be around them.
That's what I wanted to ask really quick. Is this like at all bittersweet for you as somebody who grew up a White Sox fan, and you come up to the big leagues and you have two of these coaches who are making an impact in your first role, in your first time at the big league team, and now they're going off to your childhood team, a division rival? Like, what's that like being in the middle of it as a Major League Baseball player?
Yeah, I think it's one of my first experiences with just the business. You know, there's a lot of turnover, and you know, I'm obviously extremely happy for him. But like I said, you know, it's nice having those guys in your corner, and I felt like I didn't learn everything I could from those guys yet. I felt like there was more in there that I could have tapped into, and that I was looking forward to tapping into. So, again, you know, that's part of the business, and maybe when we're in Chicago, I'll have to sneak over to the other side and pick a little bit.
Hey, Mike, before we let you go, we always read about you, Palos Park guy, blue collar guy. Tell us about your family and what is your Thanksgiving going to be like?
Oh man. Well, so I grew up in Palos. Obviously my mom and my dad have been married for 34 years. They're from Oak Forest. So they went to high school together. I have an older brother who's 27 and an older sister who's 30. So I grew up getting my butt kicked quite often. I lost a lot, and it's what I attribute my work ethic to, though. I was always the underdog growing up. So as far as Thanksgiving, you know what? I'm not a Thanksgiving guy. I do not like Thanksgiving food. I know it's a hot take.
Wow.
I know. I don't like it. I'll eat it. I'll eat like the first plate, but I don't go back for seconds.
Interesting.
Yeah. No. Wow. I know. But it'll be cool. All my cousins come in, and they live in the area, my aunts and uncles. So we usually host, and it's good to see everybody and watch some football.
Yeah, it's not just about the food. It's typically more about the uncles and the aunts and the cousins that make you laugh. And, you know, there's always that one crazy one that everybody just has everyone in stitches. So
crazy Aunt Lee for me.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, yeah.
So have you ever seen the show, the Chicago Party Aunt? Did you ever see that on Netflix? No. Okay, you have to check it out because there's a Twitter handle, Chicago Party, and then there is an animated show on Netflix. And if you're from Chicago and you do have a crazy aunt, chances are you're going to watch this and think that they basically based it on her. So it's an awesome show. It is really fun. Before we let you go, you're a Bears fan. What do you think about Justin Fields and what the Bears are doing?
Oh man! So I was just on the radio yesterday in Kansas City. My buddy Vinny Pasquantino does a NFL Insider, like 10-minute segment for them every Tuesday, and he's been in Italy because he's playing for Team Italy coming up in the World Baseball Classic. So I've been filling in for him on the radio station, and we were talking about the Bears yesterday, and just how exciting it is that I know they're 3-7 and. But to be honest, I don't think any Bears fan cares if they go 3-14 this year because it looks like they finally have a quarterback. And as we know, it's been a long time since they've had a quarterback, and it seems like the new GM Ryan Poles is making some really, really good moves tailored to the offensive side of the football for once. You know, and they went out and got Claypool and got some draft picks back, and they have cap space coming up. So I think they're in a really interesting spot moving forward. And that being said, we've seen the Chicago Bears screw it up before. So
awesome. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. It was awesome being able to hear about your experience as a big leaguer from Chicago and also your experience with Pedro Grifol. Super, super cool to hear from you. It gets me very excited as a White Sox fan. And it's always cool hearing from a local guy who's making it happen in the big league. So thank you for giving us your time today.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
And a Brother Rice guy, well, I mean, it's not Ignatius, but we'll let you go. And it's not St. Pat's where my brothers went, but that's okay. It's still a Catholic League guy. Okay.
Yeah, we might not be as smart as those guys.
Thanks, Mike. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well.
All right.
Thank you very much.
I didn't get to mention that Mike Massey is the highest draft pick in U of I history for baseball. So,
Wow, I did not know that. No,
yes.
that's actually not true. That's
What?
actually not true. Tyler J is the highest draft pick in U of I history. He went
Was
6th
that
overall to the Minnesota Twins. I believe it was 2014, the year the White Sox drafted Carson Fulmer. Tyler J went 2 picks ahead, and he was U of I. Yeah.
Look at you. Look at you correcting me like that. But that's a good correction because
And Cody Sedlock went ahead of him. He was
boy.
32nd overall in 2016. So
Hey, Mike, I'm ready to give you all the kudos. Okay. So I'm just going to give them back to Mike. Jason, some predictions.
okay, couple of predictions, 2 sports ones, 1 fun one as we are nearing Thanksgiving. Oh my gosh, this is super exciting. I love this time of the year because all the sports are going on at once, basically, and it's so much fun. So my first prediction, we haven't talked a lot of NBA on the show. We will eventually, but I do want to make a Bulls prediction, and that prediction is I think the Bulls are going to miss the playoffs, and I actually think there's a pretty solid chance that this team could sell come the deadline. I'm not really sure what the front office expected to see in the first month of the season, but I mean, the team doesn't at all look a step up from last year's team, and last year's team wasn't good enough to compete in the East. So DeMar DeRozan, I'm sure he'll stick around. Zach LaVine, he's on a new contract, but he never plays. Lonzo Ball probably won't play this year. So I would look at Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, and Kobe White as 3 names who could absolutely be out the door by February. This is a Bulls team that is, even if they make the playoffs, even if they surpass the play-in, I don't expect this team to win their first round playoff series. So I think the moves will start to be a little bit more in line with that.
Next,
NFL. Minnesota Vikings are 7-1. The Green Bay Packers are trailing behind them in second place at, I believe it's 4-6. Packers are 2 games under now, 3-5 maybe, or 4-5 or something. They're 2 games under 500. That's all that matters. This reminds me a lot of a situation that the Bears were in 2012. It was the first year I watched football. The Bears started out 7-1, and they missed the playoffs. And I don't think the Vikings will miss the playoffs, but I have a pretty crazy prediction here. I really liked what I saw out of Green Bay against Dallas. I really, really liked what I saw in that comeback. Christian Watson, it looks like Aaron Rodgers might have finally found a capable receiver on that roster. I am actually going to predict that the Packers are going to come back and win the NFC North. I will not believe that the Vikings can win that division until I see it. I just won't believe it until I see it. And you look at the wins, the Buffalo win was the best win of the year. I mean, it was game of the year, but it's their best win of the year. Okay. Anyway, my third and final prediction, it's Thanksgiving. I love Thanksgiving. What I don't really always love about Thanksgiving, and this is the first time in a while that we are doing the H word, we're hosting this year. And my prediction is, and the worst part about hosting, especially when you're a college student, is like the best part about Thanksgiving break is like sitting around and doing nothing. And I just know that like once I get off that plane on tomorrow, it's going to be, a whole lot of helping out, which is fine. I love helping out. I love helping out around the house. But my prediction is that the over under on the cleanup time on Thursday is going to be over 3.5 hours, way over 3.5 hours. That's my prediction. I think that the cleanup time is going to be ridiculous. I think that we don't know what's coming. We haven't hosted in a while. We haven't hosted since I think it was my sophomore year of high school. It's going to be a disaster afterwards, but it'll be fun, and I'm excited to be home and see the family.
The last time we hosted was actually right when we started.
First year of our podcast. Yeah.
So
I remember.
3 years ago, 4 years ago.
That would be my senior year of high school then.
Yeah.
Because we started this in April of my junior year. And yeah, I remember being at the table and everyone had listened and they were like, who were you talking about? Like when you said that, like you didn't want to sit by, have like a bad person to sit by. And my lips will still be closed on that question this year.
And we have 38 people for dinner. We will have 59 people by the time for dessert. So.
And it's a lot more people. Like it feels like a lot more people than that. Like when you're actually there, like looking at all the people and like 59 people feels like a whole lot more like 159, especially like in the basement and like I'm excited to be home. I'm not excited for the process. I just want to get that out there. I'm not excited for the process.
I love Thanksgiving. I love family. I love making my brothers and my sister make me laugh. I think it's
really excited for the dessert this year. I'm really, really excited for the dessert this year. Super quick. I was with one of your nephews and one of my cousins, Ben Kaczynski. He is a U of I alumni, so probably knows who Michael Massey is. He was in Austin this past weekend, and he actually told me that there's a Thanksgiving text chain, family-wide Thanksgiving email chain that I am not included on, which is incredible.
No, stop. It's for each household to sign up to make a part of dinner. So I never include the college kids because you guys live here at home. But if you live on your own and you're in an apartment, not away at college, but you have a job, you're making a living, then you get your own, you're on the email and you're expected to bring something.
I just wanted a little preview at the Thanksgiving spread. Like it's hard getting by here I've really been doing 2 meals a day. And that third meal a day should be like looking at that spreadsheet of everything that I'm going to be eating on Thanksgiving and just knowing that I'll be full a week from tomorrow.
All right, Jason, let's wrap it up. Nobody wants to hear about our Thanksgiving dinner anymore. Thank you, everyone who has joined us. Thank you for contributing. Thank you to Mike Massey as well. I would say what his Twitter handle is, but
MMassBears19.
Okay, there you go. 19 Bears.
And we'll tag him.
Mass 19 Bears. So you can follow him on Twitter, follow his career with the Royals as well. Former Brother Rice guy, U of I baseball player, now with the Royals. So thank you to Mike Massey for joining us. Thank all of you for following us, for listening on the ESPN Chicago app, available on Apple podcasts, and also here on the YouTube channel as well if you're watching the video of us. Don't forget there's past episodes. Like I said, we have a lot of past episodes you might be interested in, especially if you're a Bears fan. If you're a White Sox fan, we tend to lean in those two directions as well. We had a great episode where we talked about, unfortunately, sexual abuse in sports, and that has gotten a lot of traction, as well as one on Title IX, which may be our most viewed episid ever.
Probably, yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
One thing I want to add really quick, and I'm working on this for the Twitter. I want to implement a way where if our listeners or fans have any ideas for episodes, any guests that you would like to see on, any topics that you want to hear us discuss, I'm going to open up a forum where y'all can submit ideas, because as good as we think our ideas are, y'all are the most important people. Y'all are the consumers. You're the listeners. We want to give you what you want. So easiest way to do that is by hearing directly from you. Keep your eyes open. There will be a way to do that soon.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Continue to subscribe and follow us and tell your friends. And I'll work on getting rid of Jason's little Southern accent there with y'all.
It's not a Southern accent.
We gotta go. Thank you, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. So long.
See you soon.